Bruce Cassidy hints at whether Eichel and Marner will be on the same line, well, sorta, on Leafs Morning Take. And did Bruce let the cat out of the bag? Could the Golden Knights and the Leafs meet early in the season? We'll discuss all of it ahead on Lockdown Golden Knights.
You're Locked On Golden Knights, your daily podcast on the Vegas Golden Knights, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hi again, everyone, from Las Vegas. Tony Cardasco and Chris Golick. Thanks for making us your first listen every day. I'm a longtime sportscaster, a marketing consultant, and the host of the Believe in Vegas podcast. Chris is the owner of Silver State Cards and Sports, Day One, VGK season ticket holder and collectibles editor for the Hockey News. Coming up ahead, our top headline, Bruce Cassidy speaks on Mitch Marner for the first time. Marner equals a ratings bonanza. We'll get to that. Cormier signed. Can HSK players make an impact this upcoming season with VGK? So, Chris, Bruce Cassidy, as we saw, was on the Leafs Morning Take podcast with Nick Alberga and Jay Rosehill on Tuesday. And Cassidy talked about Mitch Marner, said Marner wants to win, and he feels that he's been close in doing that. The biggest question surrounding Mitch Marner and the team's two superstars, Jack Eichel and Mitch Marner, will they be on the same line? And sorta, Bruce did address this. Well, he said first and foremost that there has to be chemistry. Yes, we believe that, and that will develop, I believe, early on in the season. He said that they will be together. They will have an opportunity sooner or later. They will play together at some point. And Cassidy also said that VGK has Hertl and Carlson at center. So he said, we'll see if there's a fit there. And Cassidy also added that he's sure that they will play together in some situations on the same line. And it's interesting. Cassidy said that he will see if one, Marner or Eichel, becomes more of a shooter because they're known as assist man, mostly.
Yeah, so what I found interesting is the first words out of Cassidy's mouth when he was asked about Marner and Eichel on the same line. Who knows? Okay, that's a good start. But then he talked about the chemistry. And, there's a name that's not coming up a lot in all of this, and it is William Karlsson's name. His name has not really been mentioned at all as a possible line mate. So I wonder if that's on the back of Coach Cassidy's radar. I mean, say what you want about Karlsson. He did find a path to scoring 40 goals once in his career. So with Mitch Marner on his wing, you might see a resurgence there. And then you wonder who that other winger would be in that circumstance. I mean, a line of Karlsson, Dorofeev, Mitch Marner is interesting. I don't know if it's a good idea, but it's an idea. And it's one of the many ideas that you will see Cassidy toy with in the training camp and the practices, the scrimmages, and, of course, the dress rehearsal games leading up to the regular season.
Yeah, I am not a believer in Hertl centering for Marner. For some reason, to me, that just doesn't seem to fit, and I'm not quite sure if you think so. I think we've discussed it a little bit.
I like Hertl Dorofeev Marner. Out of the bat, I like Hertl Dorofeev Marner. I don't like the idea of Jack and Marner on the same line, though.
Yeah, I think we're going to see that more often than not. Again, I just hope that Bruce doesn't toy with the lines come March and April. I just hope that he just gets something solidified to where they can move forward there. Of course, they'll be on the power play and penalty kill units together. And we've often talked here on this show since the signing about the similarities between Eichel and Cassidy, between Eichel and Marner. And Cassidy also said that he believes that now Marner might have a shoulder to lean on.
No, I like that. I like that a lot. Of course, Mitch Marner and Jack Eichel came from similar situations. I mean, both left their hometown as public enemy number one, and you see what happened to Eichel's growth when he got to the Vegas Golden Knights locker room and what was around. And Mitch Marner, I think, is in a little bit of a different place. Mitch Marner was not the face of the franchise. It's largely been Austin Matthews, and even John Tavares has a very recognizable face of that franchise, William Nylander, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And then even a passing of the torch with Matthew Nyes. But when it came to Buffalo, it was Jack Eichel first. Not to say there wasn't other players around Jack, but it was Eichel first. And when that team wasn't doing well, it was all Jack Eichel's fault. And there's the media stuff and the locker room rumors and everything, which seem to be largely false after watching how Eichel conducts himself. But again, Marner leaves Toronto as the enemy. And if he wants to confide in Jack Eichel about how that experience was and what it felt like to stick it to your former franchise in a game, I'm sure they can have a conversation over a Labatt Blue or something.
Okay, so
Worst beer
who
in the world, by the
becomes
way. It's terrible. It's like water with
who becomes Milwaukee's best? Who becomes the shooter out of those two players, Eichel or Marner? I'm going to do a prop, and I'll say Marner. Marner will be the shooter over Eichel. I believe so.
It's a good question. I think their goal totals fall pretty close when the dust settles, probably somewhere in the mid upper 20s, something like
20s,
that.
yeah.
So, yeah, and I'll take Jack just to argue with you, I guess. Some of the other things, just listening to Cassidy talk, it wasn't just about Mitch Marner, but it was Cassidy talking about his non-negotiables, things like winning your board battles and all of that. What I did like hearing Cassidy talked about was you have your non-negotiables as far as how you play the game. You treat everybody the same, but you also treat them differently in the sense that he mentioned your skill players get a little more rope because they're gonna turn some pucks over. They're gonna do some things that are gonna make a coach dump a clipboard or something like that. But they're also gonna make some incredible plays that are done as a result of high risk and stuff. So just interesting, kind of getting between Cassidy's ears a little bit and hearing him how he thinks about his players and such. He's too honest with the media. I'll say it again, but I'm thankful that he is.
Yeah, he's very honest with the media, and what he said today on Tuesday, we're recording on a Tuesday, what he said in that interview will probably be the way that things are worked out on the first day of camp there, where you'll see the mixture of lines. You won't see Marner and Eichel together. They'll sprinkle them in. They'll see if there's chemistry. They'll use them in key situations and what have you. And Cassidy said talent wins. The more that you can get of it, the better. And something else interesting that Cassidy did point out, he said that he had no input in the acquisition of Mitch Marner. And that's the MO, right, of this organization. I have to believe where he just kind of lets them be. They feed him the players and then he makes them work. But you have to believe that he's very ecstatic to have Marner here in Las Vegas.
Oh, no doubt. And Kelly McCrimmon made it very clear that there is a level of independence for the work that he does making up this roster. And the roster he presents to Coach Cassidy, I'm sure there's conversations that take place, but I don't know if it was Carp or who it was, but someone asked Coach Cassidy about what the input was during Four Nations, and McCrimmon's like, no, didn't matter, don't care. And then he said the Golden Knights could have won the Stanley Cup, and they were still going to make a play for Mitch Marner. So, yeah, I mean, McCrimmon does his job, and then Krim passes it to Cassidy and says, "Go win me a cup."
I have another question. So, of course, this was a Canadian podcast for the Maple Leafs. And so they asked Bruce Cassidy about Nick Waugh. And he had some really positive things to say about Waugh.
He's a nice guy.
But he also said that he could have played, he could have worked his way up in that lineup. And we use him on the wing a little bit. Not quite. They did use him enough there on the wing and as a center on the fourth line. But he says they're not just getting a fourth line center.
No, and I think Nicholas Waugh is a third line center on most teams, a second line center on a lot of teams. You don't want to design your team with Nick Waugh being the second line center. Let's be clear about that. But there could be scenarios where he could be in that middle six, very comfortably in that middle six. I don't know if that's how it's going to be in Toronto. That's a very deep forward bunch. I don't know. I'm not sure. I'm not sure if he'll make it to the third or fourth line there or how it's going to shake out. But yeah, I mean, listen, that's one of the reasons the Golden Knights were a very strong team, Stanley Cup winner, Stanley Cup contender for the last 5 seasons, basically. Nick Waugh being cemented as that fourth line center had a big part of that.
And I liked it at the end of that interview where they asked Bruce Cassidy about his tan. Nice tan there, coach. He said, "Oh, yeah, I got it." South Beach Bruce did it at the South Beach of Greece. Nice vacation. He's back in Cape Cod and hope he's enjoying this time in the off season. Coming up next, Mitch Marner is a ratings bonanza. I'll tell you why right here on Locked On Golden Knights. Have you ever checked your bank account and wondered, where did all my money go between dining out, Cardasco's online shopping habit now, currently entertainment, all of that? It's easy to lose track. I was on the strip this last week, a bunch, and that money just evaporates here. And that's where Monarch Money comes in. It is your personal CFO. It gives you full visibility and control over your finances. Monarch Money isn't just a budgeting app. It's a complete financial command center, and you can track all of your accounts, and you can take a look at your investments and spending habits all in one place. So you stop just managing your money and you start to build wealth. When I started to use Monarch Money, I realized just how much I was spending on a lot of things, including subscriptions that I just don't even know why I subscribed, and then I get dinged with a bill. And of course, this is a good way to track your spending and even plan long-term growth. So take control of your finances today with Monarch Money. Use that promo code LOCKEDONNHL. You'll receive 50% off your first year. Again, use the promo code LOCKEDONNHL. 50% off of your first year at monarchmoney.com. Welcome back on this edition of Locked On Golden Knights. Tony Cardasco and Chris Golick from Las Vegas. This is the Tuesday night, Wednesday edition. So, of course, we're recording it on a Tuesday night. So in about an hour, I'm sure we'll get more news from VGK that they signed someone else, or maybe there's a deal out there still dangling. So Bruce Cassidy might have slipped up a little bit, right? He said that he saw a draft of the NHL schedule on the Leafs morning take. And VGK is going to play at Toronto early in the season, lets the cat out of the bag, and then he backtracks a little bit. Said, no, just wanted to see. I'm an Ottawa guy, whatever. I wanted to see when I could go home back up there in Canada. Could this be the opening night affair in the NHL? This would be a blockbuster.
That would be interesting if they just launched it the first night. But I feel like the Golden Knights last few seasons, very early on, they go to Toronto sometime in early-ish November. So I'm assuming it's probably going to be the same thing. Cassidy mentioned that Toronto usually is before or after a trip to Ottawa, so he goes back to see his family and everything. But yeah, I mean, you'll hit the TV, the national TV games in a second here, but I do wonder the visibility that this will certainly help increase for the Golden Knights. You have to think their year-over-year national TV games will substantially increase. More games, even though it's Mitch Marner is the enemy. I think it'll bring some more attention still up north for a team, for Canadian franchises that want to see how he's doing, or maybe the Canadian franchises do pay more attention now to games with the Golden Knights for that reason too.
Yeah, of course. And then you have a Canadian player now planted in the U.S. It's a big deal. And the U.S. television ratings around Marner, I believe, will start to take off. And so ahead of the NHL schedule release, perhaps July the 16th, after I said that they would release it in the middle part of this month, well, that is close to the middle part. But the NHL could come out after the release of tonight's show. So the leak says it's going to be released about then, the 16th. But Mitch Marner, along with Jack Eichel, will become must-see TV. I really believe so. And last year, Chris, last season, the Golden Knights were on national TV only 14 times. So
you say again, only, like that's not a lot. That's
not a lot.
Like 15% of their games, dude. That's pretty good.
Okay, but this season, I'd be shocked if there weren't 20 to 25 games because, again, and Marner is playing now in the U.S., so most of his games were not televised here. They were televised at Sportsnet, Hockey Night in Canada, all of that. But now a new audience in the USA, and I think he's really going to take off, and they'll see how exciting and how electrifying Marner and Eichel together on the same team can be.
Just found this on Reddit, so hopefully this is accurate. If it is,
geez.
Cool. If not, so
quoting Reddit.
Golden Knights, you said 14 games last year.
Was that correct?
That certainly is accurate. That was 14 games ahead of the Flames and Ottawa Senators and Winnipeg Jets, by the way.
Okay, the Flames,
they had
Ottawa, and who else?
Zero. Winnipeg, big nothing burgers
And Winnipeg. Well, again, they're Canadian teams. They're on TV in Canada.
So how many times were the Toronto Maple Leafs on TV last year, Tony?
On TV every
National
weekend
TV.
in Canada.
National TV.
Yeah, it was national.
How many times how many?
The nation of
the
Canada,
Golden Knights
I
had
don't know.
14 games, Tony.
Okay, well look
And
that up here.
and
in
the
a second.
leading team that I see with most national TV games is 17. And that was a couple of teams. How many games do you think the Maple Leafs had on national TV?
12.
9.
Okay.
But this might have something to do with
It's
nationally in Canada and the States and all that.
That's what I'm saying. More
so I guess the
visibility in the States now. More visibility here.
Right. So from an over-under perspective, I think that number
20
goes
and a
up with
hook.
Mitch Marner.
20 and a
20
hook.
and well, no one had more than 17 last year.
20 and a hook.
20 says 20 and a hook. Okay, I like it. I'll take 15 and a half and I'll put it at 16.
Okay. If they know it's good for the ratings there, with between TNT and ESPN, well, they probably don't. But
you got to assume that
for them, they'll show as many games as possible.
You got to assume opening night. Usually ESPN gets those games, if I'm not mistaken. ESPN will have Vegas in the late slot. That's almost a given, I would assume.
Okay, so 14 games on national TV last year, this past season for the Vegas Golden Knights. Is that partly because, again, you balanced it out? Yes, there weren't very many for the others, what have you. But is this telling us that perhaps the networks didn't? Nice, Chuck.
Barely rimmed it.
Perhaps the networks did not buy into the Golden Knights as far as being a legitimate contender, or buying into the team, or buying into Vegas. Vegas on its own gives you ratings. So Vegas, and then you have Eichel and Marner together. I just think, again, those television ratings should go up substantially in the U.S. because U.S. fans haven't seen a ton of Marner.
No, and I'm with you, and hopefully Marner does bring that excitement. Obviously, you want the team to win and do well, but a little razzle-dazzle never hurt anybody. And let's face it, McCrimmon in the back of his mind, I'm sure, is also considering the business end of running an NHL team. And Mitch Marner is going to help sell some tickets, and you'll probably see a lot more Leafs fans coming to Vegas than the previous season. And you'll see
and
other
a bunch
Canadian
came, right?
What's that?
A bunch came here anyway.
A bunch come by. I think this will certainly. So, it's 8 years since hockey in Vegas started. First 2 or 3 seasons, most of the home games were 50-50. Some even a little more than 50-50. Like when Detroit came, Edmonton first couple of times, those were even more tilted towards the road side. But now the honeymoon is over a bit. You are seeing those numbers kind of subside a little bit. A lot of the games are 80-20, 90-50, 90-10. I almost said 90-15. I can't do math very well. No. But now this is certainly going to get interest locally. Mitch Marner will, and it will get a lot of interest from the road fans that are considering making a trip to Vegas. So at the end of the day, if you got season tickets, like myself, it's going to help when you're selling some of those games you don't want to go to. So I'm certainly happy about that. Get a little chunk back. Maybe I won't take as big of a bath on my Silver Knights tickets this year.
Okay. So opening night, Toronto, Canada. VGK's up by a goal. There's an empty net. Tomas Hertl, head of the pack, tries to dish it back to Marner and turns the puck over. He wanted Marner to finish the play. That was bad. Okay, so Cassidy said that he wanted to see the Olympic schedule. So, hey, Bruce, it's February the 6th through the 22nd. So what we're going to have here, I would have to imagine, is going to be a very condensed schedule for the NHL. That is a very long break.
Yeah, it is a long break, and the season, I don't believe, is starting any earlier than seasons past, so they're not going to make it up on the front. And I think the NHL is trying to transition from awarding the cup in the second week of June as well. So, yeah, something's got to give right there, and that'll be a whole nother segment in itself once the schedule does come out about that end of season rush for the last 6 weeks, where they're going to play probably 25 games and 42 calendar nights or something stupid like that. And yeah, it's going to be nuts.
Yeah. And they won't play any teams within the division that final month.
Yeah. And Golden Knights won't be back-to-backs either, right, Tony? Is that how that
and
goes
I've got the over under there. It is 14 and a hook on the total number of games that VGK will play at home after the Olympics. So they'll play 14 and a half, and I'll take the over.
14 of 17 games at home.
Coming up next, Lukas Cormier signs a contract extension. We'll talk about it right here on Locked On Golden Knights.
Season save. Luke Cormier is back. Let's go.
We are a little chippy when we do these shows at night. I don't know why. Thanks for making us your first listen every day. Make sure to subscribe to our Locked On Golden Knights YouTube channel. Of course, we are definitely fan-friendly wherever you're at. Of course, a lot of the Toronto fans checking in. We appreciate you. And, of course, VGK fans and others. Everyone's welcome here on our podcast and on our YouTube channel.
Especially Flames fans next week when Anderson gets traded here.
It's going to be Anderson and Hannafin. That's going to be the pair.
It's
going to be the pairing. What did I put out there? 80 some odd points in 21, 22.
Did you say 82 points?
Something like that. Yeah. Together, those two, that combination, that's ridiculous. And they're going to bring each other back to life. That's
so 80 points between the D pairing, and then another 200 points, 240 points when you put Dorofeev on the line with Eichel and Marner. Is that what you're saying?
Right. Well, when you're playing like 15 consecutive home games after the Olympic break.
We usually wait till the end of the segment to go off the rails, but anyway, keep going.
So VGK extended qualifying offers to 5 RFAs. Only one player has not accepted the offer, and that is Alexander Holtz. And in fact, somebody questioned the intern today, and the intern in turn comes back with a grok explanation. No, Holtz has not signed. Someone said that Holtz had signed 2 weeks ago, and we missed it.
Grok knows hockey.
So with Lukas Cormier's signing on Tuesday, he, Raphael Lavoie, Jonas Ronbjork, and Cole Schwint are all signed. What do you think might be the holdup there for Holtz? I know that he probably wants a lot.
It's working crap out. It's nothing. There's nothing.
Why are they so high?
Holtz has no leverage to wait. Holtz has no leverage to try and do better. I mean, unless he wants. I don't know how often I don't know how the offer sheets work. If you can even sign a player of that age to an offer sheet, I don't know. But
they did. They extended offer sheets to all of those.
No, but I mean, for another team to come in right now and all that nonsense.
So be it.
Yeah, no, 100%.
They're too high.
VGK will take a 5th round draft pick and call it good at that point. I mean, there's no holdup. It's just whatever's getting worked out between the two sides. Holtz has zero leverage. He came to Vegas and he was, I won't say a failure. He's a young kid, but he certainly he has his work on the ice last year. I'm looking for his stats with the Silver Knights.
He's played 139 games for the Silver Knights. He is a mainstay for Henderson.
Holtz or Cormier?
Cormier.
Oh, Cormier. I thought we were talking about Holtz.
I'm over the Holtz thing.
No, listen, Luke Cormier. I like Luke Cormier, and unfortunately, he had
Is he the 11th defenseman? Where's he at?
Yeah, no, but I mean, listen, Cormier did get to have a cup of coffee with the Golden Knights
2 games
during the Stanley Cup season, I believe.
2 games.
And unfortunately, I think he had an upper body injury. He only played 19 games with the Silver Knights last year, 9 assists in those 19 games. So that's something right there. We talked about the Silver Knights having a better season down the stretch versus the way it started. Luke Cormier playing those final 19 games certainly helps that. And transitioning off, can someone like a Luke Cormier make an impact with the Golden Knights? Maybe not this year, but 22 years old, he definitely does have a future, I think. And I do think he will have an extended look in all the camps and everything. And maybe if Hutton is gone, maybe he does have a shot to compete for that 7th roster spot. Who knows?
Where is he in that pecking order, though? Seriously, now 10th. 11th?
I mean, is he number 8? Probably.
He's not 8. No. They had all those other additions. They have.
Yeah, no, I mean, the guys you mentioned, I'm looking just in the Silver Knights roster from last year and looking at the ages and stuff. I don't see anyone. Joe Fleming, there you go.
He's young and he's a project. Hopefully they stick with him because
I think Robert Haig is above Luke Cormier, right? Well, no, Robert Haig probably not.
Probably not, no. Because they get, now at least there's one Haig.
Yeah, Luke Cormier is probably number 9 right now, call it.
No.
You don't think
Hutton's number 7.
Hutton's 7, and then
They
who are
brought
those
back.
guys that
They
keep
brought
signing?
back.
Keep signing these
Yeah, they keep
nobodies.
signing. Well, they keep signing defensemen. So I don't know, but I know
So as
one
far
thing
as
that
who's
you
on,
like.
there's
I know
no one
one
else
thing you
on
do
this
like.
on the roster here. Whatever. I
Here's
talk
someone
to
that you
you.
do like, though. The reason why you do like Cormier is because he played in the queue. That's why you like him.
Yeah, no, 100%. Like, I don't think Dylan Coughlin's above him. I don't
Coughlin.
think Magna's above him, 27,
No,
32 years old. I don't think so.
they've played more games. They have more experience. Yes.
Yeah, but Luke
Please
Cormier
trade
also
Hutton.
was on the track. That's the thing. I mean,
They need to trade Hutton. They need to do that soon. Okay,
can't get
so
anything for
something
him.
else.
What's the problem?
So something else to point out here. Speaking of the Silver Knights, Sheldon Rampell, 1 year, 2-way contract. Rempel is back in the NHL. Well, he's with the Hershey Bears, I think, right now. But he's back with the Capitals organization. 31 goals in the KHL last season. Why didn't the Golden Knights try to bring back Sheldon Rampell?
He's just he's another body that can produce in the American League and now the KHL and just can't do it at the NHL level. He's had some moments. He did get some chances. Was it the 21-22? Not 23. I forgot when he had his chances with the Golden Knights. And, just, I mean, I think he was better than a point per game player largely in the American League. And again, like a Denisenko, like a Brendan Brisson, just these players that you wonder if they can translate it over. Raphael Lavoie right now, same thing. If they can translate their style of game to the National Hockey League for success. And the answer, especially for Rempel, who's 29 years old or something like that, the answer is largely no for Rempel, but maybe he will this year. It'd be really great if he could get it going in Washington. If not, he's back in North America and gets to play some hockey for a living. So life is good.
Yeah, I think, the way that things are with a lot of the talent that VGK signed, a lot is pointing towards a better, more improved Silver Knights team. I believe, again, re-signing some of these
I thought
players.
last year's team was too, and it wasn't very good. So I'm not gonna think too highly of that.
Okay. Brendan Brisson, you mentioned his name. He re-signed there with Hartford with the Wolves. So that's good. 1-year contract. And hopefully he could find his way also.
There's only one Wolf. That's the Chicago Wolves. Hartford, they're the fraudulent Wolves. That's Wolf Pack.
Oh, it's the Wolf Pack. Okay. So it doesn't matter. But again,
some respect on the Wolves.
Yeah. In this segment, we're talking about those 5 players. And when do you think, is there a cutoff date for Holtz to sign?
There is a magical date. I don't know what that is because it's prospect and American League stuff. And we'll call that area of opportunity for me.
Okay. Are we going to put all of our prop bets up there somewhere? Over-unders on, more shots. We should have a prop bet on that. More shots, Eichel or Marner. Definitely.
More shot
television.
passes.
No, please don't get me started.
Okay.
Then also too, we were talking about the number of televised games nationally for VGK. I think it's going to be north of 20. I really do. I'm starting to feel like, if you're a network executive, this is absolute must-see TV here so it'll be Toronto and VGK play twice, right? 2 times in the season. So those are two nationally
100%.
televised games. Yeah. So no, I think it'll be pretty good. So we'll see. We'll see how that shakes out. We appreciate everyone tuning in, especially our everydayers. Thank you so much. Of course, on Fridays we have WTF Day. Did you make that one? No.
Nope.
That was a little flat.
Long. Caught the draft.
Yeah. Saturdays, sometimes we've got the Chris Golick show. Is that going to happen?
No, it'll happen again. Yeah, we'll see. We'll be at the softball game Saturday in some capacity or another, but we'll be there, so we'll see what happens.
Oh yeah, VGK, very weak roster. I'll take the Raiders this year to win. I think the Raiders will win that game.
Dylan Coughlin, if they got the trainer for, I don't know, those
he's
two.
good for the home run derby. That's it. And Reeves will run through the fence again, so that's fun.
He broke his ankle when he did that, right?
I was there. Yeah.
Yes, yeah. So was I. We were both there.
Thanks so much for tuning in. Again, we'll see you on Thursday for the Thursday edition of Lockdown Golden Knights. For Chris Golick, I'm Tony Cardasco. Please take care.